Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Fultz. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Let's go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. We're at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, getting ready to send out another stacked field here on a Sunday night. 39 drivers making their way out to the last great Coliseum, and it's going to be a good one as always. Well, I guess not as always, but back in the saddle. My name is James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing you the action 1080p 60 frames a second as we get ready to send these drivers out on track. Looks like qualifying is wrapped up and ready to go here. Let's go ahead and run through the starting order. On pole, he won last week at Phoenix. Once again, it's Tom Ogle, the number 11 machine. Clint Rice starting second. Josh Robinson starting third. Michael Watt starting fourth. Darrell Whittinger starting fifth. TJ Rogers starts sixth. Jerry Isaac starting seventh. Nick Zoutner starting eighth. Eddie Jones starting ninth. Lloyd Moore starts 10th. Courtney Nelson starts 11th. Dan Trashcan Hill starts 12th. Cycling it back, James Waldo starting 13th. Roger Hurley starting 14th. Michael Titanium Everhart starting 15th. Jonathan Thier starts 16th. Bruce Pearson starting 17th. Robert Garisco starts 18th. Lee Warsdale starting 19th. Dave Matson starting 20th. Jim Smith starts 21st. Alan Wanamaker starting 22nd. Jonathan Green starts 23rd. Brian Lynch starts 24th. Cycled on back, Brian McRubbin starting 25th. Mark Fish starting 26th. Andy Thomas starts 27th. Dustin Martinson starting 28th. Greg McDaniel starting 29th. Wayne Hufford starts 30th. Victor Lane starts 31st. Chris Bates starting 32nd. Gavin Adams starting 33rd. William Martin starting 34th. Tom Amasi starting 35th. Jack Yeagerman starts 36th. And we're going to cycle it back one final time. Brian Lindsay starting 37th. Bert Dodson starting 38th. And Monty Hood will round out the 39-car grid here today. Welcome, as always, to the fans, friends, and family tune in, supporting the show, supporting the league, supporting the drivers. We've got Jeremy Mayo, we've got Pac-Man. Join us on the spectator side on the YouTube broadcast. Now let's see, can Tom Ogle running, it looks to be, as is tradition, a White Claw St. Patrick's Day back, number 11 Ford Mustang. "39 drivers made their way out. As we wait for that iRacing safety car to come down pit road. It's going to be interesting to see how the cycles go tonight, as we've got big problems, huge problems. I think the start will be delayed. Somebody had some sort of issue as the field came to a screeching halt. The green flag is out, but that is going to be a dismal start from the field. I've never seen a start that butchered here at OBRL, but Ogle not going to complain about that. The number 11 machine quickly pulls about 6/10 over his teammate Josh Robinson. There's Clint Rice ripping the high side here at Bristol, and already it's looking a little bit dicey with these drivers. Not a lot of real estate to make your way around. Robinson up into second. Now it looks like Monty Hood's going to come down pit road. Clint Rice falling back to third, holding on to a podium spot. And you can see the number 84, Michael Watson, tow behind. A little bit further back in the field, still side-by-side action. Looked like that was the 97 of Nick Zoutner up against the wall. That's going to allow Dan Hill, that number 7 machine, to get a big run there in the Foxback Chevrolet. Now, I wonder, with that dismal start kind of getting out of the system for these drivers, maybe things will be a little bit calmer as Ogle up front, qualified on pole, has already built up a 3/4 of a second gap over the rest of the field. A little bit further back, I mean, we've got action all over here. There's Brian McRubbin sitting 18th, up 7 spots. Looks like Dave, that's going to be Dave Matz, the number 40 machine, finds himself right behind Jonathan Green. Lee Warsdale are going side by side, the battle for 19th. Now I'm hoping we get some green flag stops here tonight at Bristol as we hint at 3-wide racing. Trying to see who all was involved in that. I think that might have been Green, McDaniel, and maybe McCubbin. And you can see the asphalt, or excuse me, the tire marks sliding up the concrete here at Bristol where somebody had an incident. Ooh, who is that? Is that Robert Garisco? Yes, it was, chasing the number 28 machine. Garisco's, looks like that front bumper a little bit creased as well on the Ford. I wonder if he was involved in that early race parking lot we saw under pacing right before the green flag. It definitely, yeah, he's definitely got damage in the front of that machine. And it looks like Roger Hurley, the 77, also has damage on the front. So already some drivers starting this feature event on the back foot. Now tonight's race scheduled for just at 50 minutes long, barring any cautions and pit stops. As we check back in on your race leader, Ogle is putting in work here, that number 11 machine, but Michael Watt sitting back in third, just at the fastest lap of the race, a 15.3. Now, Ogle's teammate, just a couple rounds earlier, was the first driver to go back-to-back. Robinson picked up a win at Atlanta Motor Speedway, picked up a win at Las Vegas. So now let's see if his teammate, it's going to be Ogle's time to shine and make it 2 in a row. Looks like Watt's there, the number 84 machine, sponsored by Reese's, trying everything he can to get around Robinson, the Micro Center back 23 machine. And it looks like Watts making a nice clean pass there for second. And really didn't lose too much time, but look at this, already Ogle is going to be running into lap traffic here in that number 11 machine. Oh, and my goodness, is there traffic ahead for Ogle. Only 15 laps in, and Ogle's going to have to be starting to slide through the field here, but we're going to have a caution come out. Who is it? I see the number 27 of, I think that's Jaegerman. Yep, the 27 of Jaegerman and the 94 machine of William Martin. Both going to be tied up in that one, our first caution of the night. And I wonder if Ogle's not going to be too upset about that one. So we're focusing on Jaegerman. Can't tell if Jaegerman comes down to the 94 machine of William Martin, comes up there. But either way, the caution will come out here. And we put them under eye pacing conditions. We got Grandpa Pischke join us from the spectator area. Good to see him in the spectator. Wish we were seeing Pischke out on track here tonight. As we get a nice big overhead shot here at Bristol. Let's see if that's accurate. It showed, yes, Mark Fish, the 42 machine, is going to come down pit road. Not seeing any noticeable damage on that 42 machine. The Mayo making a good point in the spectator area. This caution is going to really help those out that were tied up in that absolutely dismal start from the field. and may even pan out well for Ogle, your race leader and pole setter. As well, I would think, for the drivers that might have been tied up in an early incident. There's Victor Lane. He's coming down pit road. Alan Wanamaker's been in his stall for a little while there in the 74. You can see the crinkled front end. So we're going to get them gridded back up here, double file. That's going to be Ogle, Watts, your front row. Robinson, Rogers, your second row. Isaacs and Rice, your third row. All right, we're gridded up behind the iRacing safety car. Let's try this once more. Now, the fans are asking, why do you think some drivers would come down pit road if there's not any damage? I almost wonder to maybe avoid some of the shenanigans I think we're about to see. Cautions tend to breed cautions. Let's see if that's the case. Looks like the start is going to be much better off the line. The field able to get through this one. And there's the battle for second. Robinson wants to take back over. I think that was Daryl Winninger tagging the outside wall. A bit of a puff of smoke there. No, that might have been Zoutner and the 29 machine. Robinson still holding on to that second place spot. Isaacs has moved up to third. And a bit of a meat grinder behind them there. Looked like Michael Watts hopped offline a little bit as Clint Rice tries to make his way around. Right behind Rice, that's Winninger, Jones, Zoutner, Moore, all tied up in a really close pack here. Already, Ogle's built up another 3/4 of a second gap over the rest of the field. Ooh, and I see some more bumping and grinding going on there. Was that Hill, I wonder, in the 7 or the 89 of Waldo? Tire wear shouldn't be too much of a factor quite yet for these drivers. Zoutner and Waldo battling for that 10th place spot. Ford versus Toyota. Down on the inside line, the blue and white. Waldo up high, the number 89 machine. Drivers have to be very careful. If you push the front when you're in that side-by-side situation, it's a good way to send your friend to the outside wall, as we just saw, and the field's going to come barreling in here. And that is going to be a huge parking lot here at Bristol. Oh, this is a good one. We're going to slow this one down and see if we can figure out what just happened. We're focusing on James Waldo, the number 89 machine. I'm not sure if he's tied up in the initial incident or if it's going to be further ahead of him here. I think it's going to be ahead of him. Waldo comes barreling in. I see the 51 machine of Jerry Isaacs. Might have been one of the first drivers tied up in that. Let's take a look here. I also saw the 72 machine of TJ Rogers. So Rogers and Isaacs make contact. And then this is where things are going to go from bad to worse for just about everybody. Dan Hill was able to get through fine. Yeah, just an absolute parking lot there. The hit's still coming in. So that is going to be the second caution, and it is going to be a big one here. Jerry Isaacs down pit road. TJ Rogers, Titanium Everhart, Roger Hurley, all down pit road. Officially, it showed in the broadcast software just about every driver tied up in that one. So Mr. Tom Ogle is going to get the restart practice in that front spot here today. But we're going to try this once more. Yeah, I agree with the fans here as well. If there's a problem out on track, there is not a lot of room to find safe passage on the high banks of Bristol. So here we go. It's going to be Robinson and Ogle, the front row. Rice, Watts, your second row. Pace car is in. Let's send them back out. And we are green flag racing. Now on every start, Ogle's been able to quickly build up a 3/4 of a second advantage. I wonder if that is going to be the case on this one. Now, thankfully, I think for Ogle, lap traffic really hasn't been much of a factor. We have some big pileups before that really becomes an issue. And it looks like the battle for third, very, very heated. Clint Rice going to slide up ahead of Michael Watts. Right behind Watts, that's Moore and Jones side by side for fifth. And we kind of predicted it, but Ogle already built up a 3/4 of a second advantage. And is getting on the gas. Looked like Moore and Watts were swapping a little paint there in the battle for fourth. Everybody gets through nice and clean. Go a little bit further back. The battle for 10th. James Waldo trying to fend off Greg McDaniel behind. And also looks like he's tracking down Dan Hill. That number 7 machine. Hill side by side with Zautner, the number 97. And Waldo's going to have a good view of the action right ahead of him. Now let's see. Hill trying to do everything he can to work that inside line against the 97. Looks like he's going to get clear here. And there's big contact right ahead up into the wall. Trying to see who that was. I think that was Daryl Winninger, the number 15 machine. Yes, it was, as he's fallen back and has huge problems there. And once again, the hits just keep coming. Another massive collision here at Bristol. What a night. Trying to see, all right, let's do a little bit of investigative work here. That was Lloyd Moore. Can't quite, was that Garisco he tagged? I think it was number 28, and then look, the field just barreling in there. As drivers hit the DQ limit rather early. Wayne Hufford tied up in that one. I wonder, was that William Martin? Let's watch it again from Martin's point of view. Yeah, Wayne Hufford 100% in that one. No, that was Martin I just saw come barreling in there. And as the fans say, not a lot of room to try and take evasive maneuvers. My goodness, what a pile up here at Bristol. So you can see when the drivers are instantly disappearing like that, they have hit the incident limit. set forth by the series. Only 9 incident points available to these drivers. If you have a car-to-car contact, that's 4 incident points by itself. So it is very easy to hit that limit and get sent home early here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. So let's go ahead and run through the list of drivers that have went home early. Robert Garisco, Dave Matson, William Martin, Jonathan Thier, Daryl Winninger, Jack Yeagerman, all back behind the wall in the virtual hauler. And to give these drivers these credit as well, some of these drivers you're seeing get it sent home early. It's very rare I can say this up in the broadcast booth, but that's one of the situations there is just absolutely nothing you can do. You are along for the ride at that point. There's Ogle's number 11 machine. So Ogle enjoying the limelight. He'll have his teammate Robinson again accompanying him on the front row. Rice, Watts, your second row. Jones and Hill will make up the third row here. Our charger out on track though looks to be Brian Lindsay, the number 24 machine. Actually up 24 positions, so matching what's on the side of the race car here. Green flag is out. Let's try it again. Green flag stops might not be on the horizon for these drivers. Ogle on the gas early. There's Clint Rice trying to work the inside line against Robinson. Robinson will get clear. Watts goes up high. Jones tucks down low. Now, if we keep having these big incidents where drivers can't avoid, I wonder how many folks we're going to have left at the tail end of this thing. And look at that meat grinder of a top 10 pack. You got McDaniel and Nelson going side by side here, right ahead of them. Zoutner and Hill going side by side. I also wonder if and when Ogle, your race leader, has led every lap so far in the number 11 machine. I do wonder if lap traffic is going to be becoming a factor here tonight. Ogle again, just about 3/4 of a second up over the rest of the field. And we've got another incident reported. I don't see where it was. I think it was Waldo and Rogers are going to get tied up in that one. Let's take a look there. Yep, just two cars trying to occupy the same spot. And was that the 89 machine? Yes, that was Waldo came barreling in. So that was Rogers, and let's slow that down a little bit and see who else was tied up with Rogers. I didn't quite get a look there. I know Waldo was a late entry into that party. I think that was the rookie, the 102 machine, Monty Hood, involved in that one. So Hood and Rogers initially involved, and Waldo looked for an opening that just unfortunately wasn't there. And we send some more drivers back home. That leaves, I believe, 25 drivers on the lead lap, with 29 of our original 39 entries still driving. So we are a quarter of the way through tonight's feature event with our 4th caution on the board. Now everybody inside the top 12 is still out on their original tires here. I think opting for track position more so than anything else at this point. And things can get a little bit interesting once you get drivers on different tire sets out on track as well. Ogle, Robinson still side by side in the front row. Rice, Watts, your second row. Zotner and Hill, the third row. Brian Lindsay still the hard charger, showing now up 25 positions from his original qualifying spot. There's a safety car down pit road. And we are green flag racing once more here at Bristol. Again, Ogle with a fantastic launch. As it seems like the top, let's say about top 10 or so, have been running very clean side by side. It's been, unfortunately, about 15th place back where a lot of the shenanigans have been happening here tonight. McDaniel, that number 1 machine, the defending champ, wants to get a little bit better finishing position here tonight. McDaniel currently starting tonight 10th in points in the championship. Robinson is your points leader with Ogle in second. And I was getting ready to mention Dan Hill with a gutsy inside move against Michael Watts. He came into tonight 3rd in points. Now Ogle doesn't quite have the breakaway on this restart we've seen prevail so often tonight. I wonder if the tire wear starting to maybe play a factor just shy of 60 laps in. Now Ogle still 6/10 up ahead of his teammate Robinson. And right behind Robinson, Rice and Zotner really going at it there, as well as Dan Hill. So everybody trying to squeeze into that final podium spot, but still a long way left to go here. There's Rice, the number 6 machine, trying to work against Robinson, drifting a little bit up high, trying to carry some more corner speed. Oh, and right behind Rice, Watson, Zotner side by side. Now I'm really hoping we see some green flag pit stops here tonight. We're running the split pit lane. Rice holding on to it there in 3rd, but both Watson and Zotner have been hungry to make a line. Now it seems like both drivers running 4th and 5th. We're not in a hurry to force a 3-wide situation as we watch Zotner, the number 97, try some alternative lines way up against the wall, almost in the marbles. Looks like he gains, there you go, clears himself of Watts in the 84. So an interesting line choice by the 97. Got clear of the 5th place 84, Mike Watts, but not able to really get much ground against Clint Rice, the number 6 machine. And it looks like Watts is going to fire back there in the 5th place spot, working the inside line against the 97. I would take a wager after those 4 big incidents we've had, really 5 if you include the start. I think a lot of the drivers are going to try and tone it down a little bit, try and keep themselves out of the vortex of danger. Now, historically, whenever I make a comment like that, there's usually a massive incident to follow, so hopefully that's not the case with the old commentator's curse. I was trying to look like Zotner's number 97. I think it might have had a little bit of damage on the nose. Looks pretty good. And a lot of clean race cars, pretty liveries here on the high banks of Bristol. Ogle a second up over the rest of the field. He's got maybe a few more laps before traffic becomes a factor. Ogle is doing very, very well here at Bristol. Now, historically, I've got some notes here provided by Hills. We watched the battle for second. Robinson and Rice shooting it out here. Historically at Bristol, Dan Hill, that number 7 machine, has the highest average finishing position. But you've got drivers such as Tom Ogle and Eddie Jones out on track. Both drivers, this will be their 25th start here at the Coliseum. We're going to pan to Tom Ogle, who now has traffic ahead of him. There's Lee Warsdale rolling out on track. Now is Ogle going to press the issue trying to get through traffic, or is he going to play it safe? It's his teammate Robinson about 9/10 behind him here. And that's a bit of a meat grinder ahead of him. I think that's Andy Thomas, Bert Dodson, and Victor Lane. Victor running the characteristic number 10 that we've seen so often in the past. I think it's actually going to be lap traffic. Already drivers a lap down just ahead. There's the 71 machine. Now, interesting. The car says 71. But it's 17 on live timing. That was Michael Everhart. I thought I was losing my mind up here in the booth. So it looks like everybody doing a good job hopping out of the way. Jim Smith, the number 61, goes the low line, allowing the race leader Ogle by nice and clean. Ogle really not losing much time here to Robinson, keeping about a 9/10 advantage. And Robinson has Clint Rice still right behind that number 6 machine. Now, generally in oval racing, there's no blue flag rule. It's every man for himself. But nothing but respect here amongst the OBRL Cup Series drivers. And it's definitely a game of traffic management. As we watch Robinson and Rice go down low, squeezing by Lane. Maybe a little bit of clean air for Ogle. Still battles across the track, though. Jerry Isaacs, Alan Wanamaker battling for the 20th place position. Isaacs goes up high, the number 51 machine, the 74 of Wanamaker working the low line. Right behind them, that's Andy Thomas, Dustin Martinson, also side by side. We go on board Clint Rice, the number 6 machine, running third on the track here. In a good position. He's about 8/10 up over Nick Zoutner, the number 97, running fourth. And staying right here behind Robinson. As you can watch, race leader Ogle just ahead, still navigating traffic here. And Ogle doing a great job, really not losing any ground. Maybe that's one of the pluses of the very interesting paint schemes that Ogle runs every week here at the YesterYear Cup Series. Easy to spot him in the rearview mirror, for better or worse. Now, are we going to see some green flag stops here tonight? We got a bunch of drivers that have moved up a bunch of positions. Greg McDaniel, Wayne Hufford, 8th and 9th. Both up 21 position. Chris Bates in 10th. He's up 22. And Brian Lindsay sitting 15th. Another driver up 22 positions. If we go to Bruce Pearson here, sitting 13th in the number 22 Ford Mustang. You can see Roger Hurley, the 77, working the inside line. You've also got Brian Lindsay, Mark Fish, Tom Amasi right behind. So an extremely busy racetrack. There's Ogle getting around the number 12 machine of Andy Thomas. You also see Jerry Isaacs and Bert Dirty Dodson not too far behind the race leader. Oh, I do hope we get to see some green flag stops here tonight. Clean track ahead for Ogle. And ahead of Ogle, that's Wanamaker and Lynch still side by side. Gavin Adams, the number 30 machine, about 9/10 up ahead, but we've got a crash reported. It showed Dustin Martinson. Let's see if that's what brought out the caution. For that number 19 machine, that's going to put a whole lot of drivers a lap down. Martinson up against the wall. Looked a little bit shaky there, but oh, just big contact with the 48, I believe that was. That was Courtney Nelson, who was trying to navigate traffic and just not having any luck with it. It looked like Nelson went up there. That's going to be a tough one to call. But this is going to initiate some green flag stops here. Our 5th caution of the night. Split pit roads. Where's Ogle going to come out at? So it looks like Gavin Adams, Brian Lynch. Adams came down pit road on lap 50, Lynch on lap 41. They're going to take over the first row here. Ogle will be starting 3rd, accompanied by his teammate Robinson. As we are on our 5th caution of the evening. I see about 5 or 6 drivers I'm expecting to get a wave around here. And let's see, how many drivers does that leave out on track here? I believe I show still 29 drivers out on track, so we didn't lose any under this caution. Here we go, green flag racing. Ogle has some fresh tires and puts them to work rather quickly. Robinson up into 2nd, Hill sitting in 3rd. There's Rice with a gaggle of drivers right behind. Waldo unfortunately joined us from the spectator area. Hate to see him having to join midway through a race, but Always great to have the racers still supporting the show, even when things don't go quite up to plan. Adams and Hufford side by side, the battle for 7th. Hufford down low. You can also see Greg McDaniel trying to follow Hufford through here by that number 30 machine of Adams. And even though this is a very small track, drivers still hitting speeds in excess of 140 miles an hour. Clint Rice in third, just clicks off a 15.21, the fastest lap of the race. Now, looks like Rice had a big run against Robinson. Wasn't quite able to do anything with it here, as Ogles displayed the cross green and white flag, signaling the halfway mark of today's main event. Now, somebody mentioned Gavin, the number 30. They were thinking he might be on a two-tire strategy. I don't know if it's a two-tire stop, but his tires are 40 laps older than anybody else up in the top 5. And he was in his pit stall for just about 30 seconds, so I'm thinking probably some damage getting fixed there while taking 4 fresh ones underneath them. Also impressed with the drivers here tonight. Historically, cautions breed cautions, but outside of that very initial start, these guys have been doing a good job keeping it relatively clean. And look at Rice, was all over the back bumper of Josh Robinson there. Now, it's very uncharacteristic to see these drivers initiating a bump and run, especially at the halfway mark of the race. But I think Rice is just going to play it cool here, look for an opening against the number 23. There's traffic ahead for your race leader, Ogle. And somebody's up in the wall as the field scatters. That has allowed Robinson, Rice, Hill, Zoutner, Watts all inside the top 6 to kind of track down Ogle here. So Ogle's going to try and get some momentum built back up. Rice doing a great job keeping with Robinson as well, not letting that 23 machine link up with his teammate at all. Now, historically, the dirty air can kind of tighten these cars up a little bit. That combined with the front end damage we've seen just about everybody in the back half of the field take at some point. If we can get a green flag run, and that's a big if at this point. I'm very curious to see who's going to be trying to manage a little bit of tire just in case we get that run. A little bit further back, Dan Hill, as Nick Zoutner, Michael Watts right in tow. There's Wayne Hufford as well, the 75 machine. He's up 23 spots. 3 drivers up 23 positions. Wayne Hufford in 7th, Chris Bates in 9th, and Tom Amasi running 12th. All having fantastic races here, as it looks like Watts is going to maybe slide up into that 5th place spot in the 84. As we're starting to click off a few laps here. Oh, it looks like Doudner was able to fire back against Watts. Is there somebody up in the wall? A very precarious spot to be in. Running a good 50, 60 miles an hour off the pace. When drivers are already too wide, that is a very risky spot to be in. And look at this 3-car shootout for 4th. You've got Hill, Zoutner, Watts in the mix. Wayne Hufford, I think, backed off a little bit there to kind of watch this one sort itself out. Now, you'll hear me throughout my shows talking about the vortex of danger. That means putting your car in a precarious position where sometimes Lady Luck can play a role. You see Hill get a little bit loose there, the number 7. That's going to allow Watts a chance to close up. We've got another crash reported. It was Brian McCubbin takes a tow in that number 52 machine, but not before the yellow flag is thrown. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident. That looks like a hardware problem where he just smashes the wall. I think I just saw Jonathan Green come into that one. And we throw out another caution here at Bristol, our 7th of the evening, I believe. 6th caution of the evening. Now, question for some of the drivers that are spectating that were running earlier. What type of fuel run can we get here at Bristol? If the stars align and we run clean and green here. That was one of the notes I was not able to get from some of the drivers before today's main event. Gavin Adams, Lloyd Moore, Jerry Isaacs all down pit road. So again, not much of a change here. It's going to be Ogle and Robinson on the front row. Rice and Zoutner your second row. Hill and Watts your third row. I believe I'm seeing 19 drivers still on the lead lap. Maybe 20 depending on how quickly Jerry Isaacs can get back out on track in that 51 machine. Mayo asking, surely everybody's good on fuel, and unfortunately that's an unknown for me up here in the booth. That most of the field came in around that lap 90-91 mark. And with how the cautions are being thrown quite freely here tonight, I can't imagine drivers going to be burning up too much fuel during this one. There's still 20 drivers on the lead lap. I believe 24 still out on track here. Now let's make it 26. I see Martinson and Moore still out on track. So about 10 drivers, maybe 11, I'm fairly certain, that are going to be in an early retirement. We get ready for that iRacing safety car to come down pit road. There we go, green flag racing once more. Ogle takes over the race lead. He was briefly side by side with Robinson, but let's go back to that battle for third and fourth, where you've got Rice, Zoutner, Hill, Watts, the usual suspects all together here. Oh, I saw a little bit of a bobble there from Robinson, I think. That almost allowed Rice to work the inside line. Rice is going to go for it here, I think. So Ogle out front, not having any issues. Looks like Rice is going to have to settle for third here for a little while to build back up momentum. As Zoutner and Hill charging up from behind. Now, I love seeing the different line choices. Look at the big run from Clint Rice. The number 6 machine fires that thing up into second, putting Robinson back into third. So James Waldo let me know fuel definitely no longer a concern for these drivers. On Green Flag Racing, he was saying they're good for about 180 laps here at Bristol. There's the battle for ninth. Courtney Nelson trying to fend off Chris Bates, the number 81 machine. Bates, one of 3 drivers up 22 spots, having a great run here. Now, I'm a big fan seeing the different line selections being used by these drivers. Case in point, Clint Rice really ripping up against the wall to take over that second place position and quickly putting quite a gap on Robinson. Now, Ogle still up front, but it looks like Rice closing the gap here in that number 6 machine. Ogle about 0.3 up over Rice. Rice almost 0.9 up over Robinson. Now, this might be the first time all night we've really seen Ogle pressured from behind. But we know Ogle is a tire-saving machine. So now that he knows that he's got a little bit of pressure, I wonder if that's going to be the case, because Rice is licking the stamp and sending it. Now your top 3, Ogle, Rice, Robinson, qualified in the current running order. So everybody inside this top 3 has got tons of space. But it looks like Robinson falling off a little bit as Nick Zoutner is starting to close up behind that number 97 machine. So this is going to be good. So we're not going to see, I don't think, any green flag stops here. I think the only way you'll see somebody such as Ogle coming down pit road to grab tires if there's another caution, that's going to be only if the rest of the field's coming in behind them. Track position definitely seems to be key here. Now, if we go a little bit further back, Jonathan Green running 12th, still has a freight train of drivers behind him. You've got Green in 12th, and you've got Fish, Lynch, Amasi, Isaacs, Hurley, Brian Lindsay, Gavin Adams here in the fray. Looked like Lindsay was trying to work that inside line against Hurley in the 77. There's Adams, the number 30 machine, trying to get some steam built back up underneath him. And to give you an idea of how tight the field is, these guys battling for that 17th, 18th, 19th spot, they're only 9 seconds back from race leader Tom Ogle. But on a racetrack that's averaging about 15 and a half, 16-second lap times from these drivers, it is tough if you're not hitting your marks perfectly to stay on the lead lap over a good, clean, long run here. There's Mark Fish, the number 42 Toyota. He's running 14th and up 12 spots. Just ahead of him, that's Jerry Isaacs working the inside line against Jonathan Green's 98 machine. Ogle, Rice, and Robinson still up front. Our Chargers are still Greg McDaniel, Wayne Hufford, and Chris Bates. All 3 of those drivers up 22 spots. Now I wonder, when are we going to see more traffic for Ogle? Very quickly is the answer, as that's Dustin Martinson's number 19 machine just ahead of the race leader. There's Clint Rice on the right side of your screen, still holding about 0.3 back from Ogle. Now Rice is going to hope he can handle getting through traffic a little bit better than Ogle as he closes the gap to less than 0.2 of a second behind that number 11 machine. And Rice looks like he's going to go for it here, running that signature high line at Bristol. Kind of diamonding the corners a little bit to get better corner exit, drive off the inside line. So there he goes high once more. Let's see, does he cut down low? No, he's going to stay behind Ogle, trying to set something up. And there's more and more traffic ahead for the race leader. This could present an opening for Rice to try and make a move for the lead. And my goodness, there is a lot of traffic up ahead for Ogle and Rice. Now, those two have built up a 2-second gap over the rest of the field here, so they are absolutely moving. And that is going to be the battle for 19th just ahead of them. Brian Lindsay, Tom Massey going side by side for 19th. You can also see the number 10 machine of Victor Lane. He's already a lap down just behind that side-by-side battle as they go too wide, too deep here at Bristol. Oh, Ogle's in a precarious spot here. Very carefully trying to navigate traffic. Rice going to follow him through here. That was the 61 machine of Jim Smith hopping offline to get out of the way of the battle for the lead. The next target for Ogle is going to be Tom Massey's 62 Chevrolet. Tom having a great race as well. And Massey, I should say, since there's two Toms side by side. And Massey's up 15 spots in that 62 machine. So still having a great race now. We are 3/4 of the way through this feature event. Now, as Ogle and Rice work through traffic, that has allowed Robinson in third to close and gain a second back in his favor. And Ogle's going to hold on to it here a little while longer. We go a little bit further back to the 13th place spot. Jonathan Green has Gavin Adams working the inside line. Right behind them, about a second back, Mark Fish, Andy Thompson side by side. Andy Thomas, excuse me, in the battle for 15th. Every week here at the YesterYear Cup Series, there is good racing all across the track. Doesn't matter if it's for 1st or 15th. These guys come out each and every week to put on a great show for the fans. And they are living up to the expectations. Now, we had that flurry of cautions early on here tonight. But when these guys can actually race, they show they're some of the best in the business. As we get ready to go, 40 laps left here in this feature event. Who might be saving some tires for a late race charge? The fans seem to think it's going to be Robinson with a little bit something hidden in the tank. But what's going on up front? Clint Rice, Tom Ogle side by side for the race lead. There's Mark Fish just ahead, the 42 machine. Rice is going to make the pass for the lead and does so very, very clean. And Rice is going to be all aggressiveness here. Fish goes high to allow Rice and Ogle by. And Rice is going to get credit for a lap led here at Bristol, up one spot from where he qualified. And look at the lap drivers ahead of Rice. Almost wonder if Ogle's happy he's not in that top spot anymore. Look at how Rice gets that car to rotate around the inside of Gavin Adams. And Rice not afraid to stick his nose in there and make something happen. Ogle looked like he was going to go 3 wide, backs out of it. Oh, and Ogle gets into the back of Mark Fish. A little bit of a bump. Hey, how you doing? But Rice not afraid. So it's a bit of a give and a take here. Rice willing to gamble a little bit, being aggressive with traffic, has built up an 8/10 advantage over Ogle. Now Robinson has caught up to his teammate, the number 11 machine. So Rice able to get through that big clump of traffic and has built up a 1.4 second gap over Ogle, who is not quite as aggressive through the traffic. Now the big question is, everybody inside the top 5, really the top 8 on the same fuel and tire strategy. Is this where we're going to see different tire wear come into play here? We wait for the lap times to update. Rice to 16.07. He was just about 0.2 faster than Ogle last time by. Wayne Hufford and Jerry Isaacs having a battle for 7th. Greg McDaniel, Chris Bates running 6th and 9th respectively, both up 23 positions as our hard chargers. And Rice continues clicking off laps, making it look easy. Now it's interesting, Rice doesn't even show up on the scoreboard for most races won here at Bristol. Well, there we go. Out of 2 starts, his average finish is about the 8th place spot. His average start is the 28th position. So Rice really coming into his own here. The cleanest driver we have historically that runs at Bristol is Mr. Greg McDaniel, currently running 6th, sporting that number 1 plate. He's one of those drivers we talked about, up 23 spots. Out of 7 starts, he has only gotten 4 incidents when he comes out to Bristol. Now the track seems to be a little bit slower here tonight. The track record for the next gen cars, 14.483 set by Mr. Eddie Jones. Clint Rice, your race leader. Fastest lap of the race was a 15.21. So we have whittled it down to 9 drivers on the lead lap. 26 laps left to go here at Bristol. And Rice continues clicking off laps, making it look easy. He's built up a 3.5 second advantage over Ogle. Ogle about 1.5 seconds up over Robinson. So Rice has really figured something out here. And I don't think I've seen that number 6 machine lift for traffic yet. He picks the line, fully commits, and just blitzing through here. I think at this rate, we might only have, if we can keep going green, we might only have 5 drivers on the lead lap by the time it's all said and done. Looks to be about 26 drivers still out on track. And Rice is still holding the hammer down way up against the wall. I wonder if he's maybe using those marbles to rotate the car down a little bit. Oh, a big blink there. I think that was the number 9 machine of Brian Lynch. Disconnecting for a little bit of a moment there. And we're really getting the laps clicked off here. We made it 8 drivers on lead lap. There's Wayne Hufford, not too far ahead of Rice. Hufford, the number 75 machine, having a great race as well. He's up 22 positions. And that is going to be lap traffic ahead of Hufford. I think that's Roger Hurley. Yes, the number 77, Gavin Adams in the 30. And here comes Rice, not afraid to make a big move. And Rice has the ultimate car control here tonight. Very impressed with that number 6 machine. I can't say I've seen a driver rotate a car at will like that in quite a while. I mean, way up against the wall, dives back down low. That was the 98 machine of Jonathan Green. Is going to go down another lap in the Ford. Oh, a big lift there from Rice to avoid getting to the back of Gavin Adams. Adams throws the hand out the window saying, hey, sorry, wasn't trying to get in your way there. And I think that's the first time I've seen Rice lift that much in quite a long time, at least when it comes down to traffic. Now, let's see if we can get an onboard with Rice. That's kind of like what we're looking for. Nice smooth inputs there for Rice. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with Rice here tonight. He has been really running well. 13 laps left to go as that number 6 machine crosses the line once more. As it looks like Rice starting to catch up. I saw the bright yellow number 1 machine of McDaniel not too far ahead. There's McDaniel side by side with a little bit of traffic himself. And here comes Rice barreling through once more. Not a lot of room left to go there. That's Fish in the 74 side by side, Alan Wanamaker. Now, I've been watching Rice race for, I would dare say, years at this point. He started off with another league we covered here at Team Goon Squad. Saw the clean racing here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series at OBRL. And has really come into his own here, really developed the racecraft. And absolutely thriving in this environment. Now, he has just put down the number 1 machine, Greg McDaniel, a lap. So that's going to leave 5 drivers on the lead lap here. It's Rice, Ogle, Robinson, Hill, and Isaacs, your top 5. The only 5 drivers remaining on the lead lap. And look at this battle for 7th. You've got Hufford, Bates, Zoutner. A 3-car battle for 7th. And we're going to have an incident out on track that's going to interrupt the party here. And that's going to be a big hit. That was Courtney Nelson getting into Bert Dodson. Let's see what happened to Dodson that brought out that caution. Dodson's in the number 59 machine. Gets a little bit of a poke from behind with a 48. Around he goes, and look at... No, is that Clint Rice? No, Rice has just lost the lottery here. A huge hit for Clint Rice. So on board with Rice, he sees the problems up ahead, smoke everywhere, and just absolutely drills Dodson. Oh my goodness, what is this going to spell for the race? And somehow Rice is staying out. There we go, Rice down pit road. Oh my goodness. If Rice didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any at all here. So how long is Rice going to be in his stall for? The front end of the car didn't look too terrible. Will the iRacing gods be kind to that number 6 machine? Let's see if we can get a pit road. It wasn't too kind. That front right absolutely hammered. Rice in his stall for 22 seconds. That's going to put Wayne Hufford, the race leader. We'll keep an eye out and see if Rice can get back out on track. As I think it was James Waldo said earlier on, that's Bristol. Looks like Rice is going to return to the circuit, sitting in 6th. Hufford staying out. I think he's staying out. I'm not quite sure what Hufford's doing. He's down on the apron, allowing Ogle and Robinson by. So Hufford, the only driver who did not come down and take 4 tires, at least in the top 5 here. And it looks like Hufford's waving the field through here, so that's going to put Ogle back on the front row with fresh tires underneath him. Accompanied by his teammate Josh Robinson will be on the front row. Right now it's showing Hill and Rice, your second row. Hufford and Isaacs, your third row. And then Chris Bates, the number 81 machine, is going to be one of the last drivers in the lead lap, as I believe this is going to put us into green-white checker conditions. And we only have one green-white checker attempt here tonight. There we go. It could be the final start of the night. Robinson up high. Ogle running his usual low line. It's going to be a big lunge from the 23 down to the inside line. Ogle has the position. Here comes Dan Hill, the number 7 machine, fighting for a little bit better spot. The white flag is out here at Bristol. Right now it's Ogle, Robinson, Hill, 1, 2, 3. Rice still holding on to 4th, but off the pace, 2 seconds back from this battle for the podium. The checkered flag is out, and Ogle, he's got a 4-leaf clover hidden somewhere on him. You can take a guess where. Sets the fastest lap of the race. The green-white checker attempt picks up the win here at Bristol. Now we had Jeremy Mayo asking if he's supposed to be a wave around. I showed him staying out on that lap 91 caution. We're going to get these top 3 drivers up here to victory lane. My goodness, what a race. Still waiting for these top 3 drivers to make their way up to the booth. And then we'll get the podium party started here at Bristol. Looks like the gang is all here. So we're going to start things off with Mr. Dan Trashcan Hill. The MXPX car finds a way. Dan, welcome back to the top 3, buddy.
Thanks, bud. That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, what was your thoughts midway through the race? Were you thinking, hey, if top 5 is going to be good enough, or were you still thinking you had a chance before that last caution came out?
I really felt like I was kind of just middle of the like top 5 maybe. I really went hard early on because I was trying to pass some of the guys when we were getting the cautions right off the bat because that's the only time you can make real quick spots. And I think I used my stuff up. And in all honesty, had we not had a caution, there's no way I'd have been the third.
Now, Dan, you started back around that 12th place spot, I think. What happened off the original start that we saw so many drivers get damage early on here tonight?
Somebody had a technical issue. They said their screen went black, and of course nobody can see but the car in front of them. And I saw it was slowing down, and I was completely off the gas when I ran into Lloyd, and somebody ran into me, and I'm sure he ran into the car in front of him. So I know it was a bunch of cars, but it was some sort of technical issue.
Well, hey, glad it worked out relatively well. Still able to run a great race. I mean, I had no point had any idea how this was going to shake down, and super cool having you back up here in the top 3. Before I let you go and unwind, Dan, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make it happen here tonight?
Shout out to my wife. She puts up with me and lets me race all the time. So gotta give her a shout out, and shout out to my teammates Josh and Tom. They help me every week, and we share a lot of information, and that's how we tend to run pretty good. So shout out to everybody else who wasn't here tonight, and thanks to you for your broadcasting because you're awesome, man.
Well, thank you for always the inside scoop, Dan. Good having you back up here, and congratulations on the podium here tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
That was Dan Hill bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got Mr. Josh Robinson joining us, number 23 machine. Josh, it seemed like you and Ogle were in a little bit of trouble there before that final caution, and then the iRacing gods seemed to smile on Team Miata here tonight.
Yeah, but I was very content with just hanging on to third there and calling it a day. And hate to see those late race cautions come out, especially if they get a leader cut off. Clint ran a phenomenal race and kind of deserved to keep that win there.
Yeah, Bristol rears its ugly head once more now. Were you expecting more cautions coming into this short track, less cautions, or was this about par for the course here tonight?
I thought we would have a couple early. That's typical Bristol, but we had a couple more than I thought we would, and I really didn't think we would get that late caution. Late cautions are abnormal for us, so hate to see that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but Josh, talking about we finally had some good green flag racing there at the end before that aforementioned caution. Was tire wear starting to become a factor for you guys in the top 5?
It 100% was. We had, you got to run some good laps to stay up there. So you want to save tire, but you can only save so much. And so if anybody was kind of hanging back, which I think Clint was for a while, he ran third behind me for the longest time, and I could tell he was getting some great runs, and he seemed to he figured out how to save that right front.
Well, it was a great race, a lot of fun for me up in the booth. I hope it was half as fun for you drivers. Josh, before I let you sign off and go hang out and unwind with the rest of the team, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps you put you back up here in second place?
Shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. Shout out to the league and all the admins for all the work everyone puts in. Thanks to everyone that comes out. We just consistently good car counts in a very good league. So, always good to see those car counts stay pretty consistent there. Thanks to the league sponsors, and thanks to everyone over at Team Miata. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Awesome. Josh, always a pleasure, buddy, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Have a good one, James.
You as well, sir. That was Josh Robinson bringing it home in third. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend. Grab a water. This is going to be a long one. Welcome back, Tom Ogle.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. I made fun of the livery on the number 11 machine, but man, if you were even a little bit Irish, you surely used up all the luck on this one.
I did. This isn't like a win that you celebrate, you know what I mean? Clint, that second stint, the last run there, he was so much better in lap traffic than me. I was kind of taking it easy when I was behind him, and he just went up there and took it. And I was like, all right, I guess but then I just wasn't as fast as him in lap traffic.
Yeah, how
but-
do you make that decision to put yourself in the Vortex advantage? We saw it polar opposites tonight. Rice was willing to lick the stamp and send it, and it seemed like you were a lot more
Yes.
conservative on the passes and going, yeah, I've been in this position before.
Well, so I got 4X, like passing a lap car early. I think he got loose and came down off the wall and hit me. So I had 4X already. And then, like, I got into somebody in traffic, I had 8X. So that kind of dictated how aggressive I could be. But listen, I'm not telling you I could have caught him because he was flying. Like, he was flying. He passed me for a reason. You know what I mean? If I could have held him off, I would have. He was fast, and that was his race to lose.
Yeah, unfortunately, the lap traffic bad luck, it hits all of us at least once in our iRacing career.
I lost
So
a couple here, like, because of lap traffic. It happens,
yep,
you know?
part of
But
racing.
Yep, 100%. And Clint was the best car tonight, and he had some bad luck. I saw him in fourth there on the restart, but he must have had damage. So
Yeah, he had a pretty substantial front right damage, so he was able to get out on track. I think salvage a bit of points tonight. But I mean, you, Robinson, most of the guys. I mean, in that restart, if you had fresh rubber, you guys clicked off. In your case, the fastest lap of the race, and for everybody else, a personal fastest for the race.
oh, well, I guess I was good on new tires, but not so good on 50 lap tires.
Well, hey, glad.
Just
Go
lap
ahead.
traffic really. So when you're like running in clean air, like the car's different, then you catch lap traffic and you got to change your line and you change your rhythm. And like Clint had been in lap traffic all night. So he kind of knew, and I was overdriving the corner in lap traffic, and I kind of ended up pushing off my right front. And so that's why he was driving away from me so much at the end too. But he was like way more aggressive there in lap traffic, but that's the difference, you know?
Well, all the way around, a ton of fun to watch. I hope it was half as much as fun to drive as it was for me to call the action in here. And Tom, you're the second driver this season to make it 2 in a row. A clean sweep for Team Miata here tonight. And you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout-out to that helps make it happen here at Bristol?
I want to thank all the guys that run the league, Victor, and all the admins for all the hours of work they put in. Just so much work. You guys for broadcasting it. Sponsors of the league, all those guys that chip in money and all the guys that donate. It was Clint's race to win, so I guess I can thank him for giving me a break, I guess, and a freebie. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome, Tom. Always a pleasure, buddy. Good to have you back
You
up
too,
here.
bro.
Hopefully,
You too, Jay.
hopefully we'll have you up here at Coda next week.
Well, that isn't going to happen, probably.
That's the spirit.
There's not going to be a 3 in a row. I guarantee you that. Probably Courtney is going to give us all a severe, humbling lesson.
Well, looking forward to it. Tom, always a pleasure.
Yep. Talk to you later.
And that was Mr. Tom Ogle bringing it home in the top spot here at Bristol Motor Speedway. He was accompanied by his teammates Josh Robinson in second, Dan Hill in third, and again, honorable mention, Clint Rice, the number 4 machine. Terrible luck here at the end of the race, but what a great drive all the way through for that number 6 machine. On behalf of the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bashers Racing League, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.